Good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking time to watch this. We're getting to know Jeff Rose. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, so a few things. If somebody's watching this video, it's on one of our intro emails. Maybe they know you, maybe they don't, but I was hoping to just, for people that don't know you, or even people who do, to get to know you a little bit better, like tell us about how you got into the mortgage business and what led you, through your career up to Loan Depot. And then we'll go what Loan Depot's been like for you since you joined. And after that, what you see happening with the Tustin branch and as you grow your team over the next few years.
Yeah, wow, those are loaded questions. Hope everybody's prepared and sitting down. No, I'm kidding. I'm like many. I think that there's, obviously there's always two ways into the business. You're either like you fell into it or you intentionally went into it. I was one of them that fell into it, right? So I really thought I was gonna be a firefighter. I was in training and doing the part-time firefighting thing, doing the went through the academy and got into personal training. And then through personal training, I met some clients of mine that owned a couple and operated a couple mortgage companies. And they're the ones that got me in. I'm avoiding the long story of that. There's a longer story. We can always sit down and talk about that another time over a glass of wine. But through that, that was where I really fell into it and found out that I had an opportunity to really impact a lot of clients and families, and I was good at it, and it was really relational, and it allowed me to still be me. And it wasn't an awkward thing to get into the business. And I met a lot of great people, and I met a lot of ways and learned a lot of ways on how not to do it. And then I also learned from a lot of great mentors and coaches on how you can do it. And I found this really great opportunity where, if I'm being honest, there's a lot of dishonest or people in the business that maybe shouldn't be. And I think that's probably for every industry. And so then I found like a real wheelhouse on how we can get the right groups of people together and we can really make an impact and a difference and help clients avoid some tragedy and mistakes and some influence into the wrong decisions. And then we can help influence and help them down the right path or help answer questions. And that's kind of how I got here. And that road and journey has a lot of bumps and bruises. I look at it like a stock ticker. Like I don't think of any straight path that looked really pretty and nice. But at the same time, at the end of every year, it was better than the year prior. And so there was a lot of growth and opportunity through that. And so at the end of this is now 20 years. I've been at 10 years as a broker, owner, operator of a wholesale and mortgage banker, and then went into the banking side, one of the big four. And then I was there for the last 10 years or so. And then now I've been here, and it's been quite the journey, but I definitely understand the landscape really well, especially having such a background to, the two major sides of this business, which is mortgage banker and big bank. Yeah. And, the pitfalls to each one.
Two things you said. I think the firefighter academy and all that stuff, like mortgages, there's definitely firefighting that goes on, right? So there's definitely some synergies between what you would have done there. But secondly, like you grew up in a family of like people who are doctors and is it lawyers too, or just all doctors and like
mainly medicine? Yeah.
So for you to like have, and I bet that gave you a great base too of like, success, college, professions, and you're this entrepreneur who started a business.
I got to partner. The reality is I was never the smartest person in the room, and I got to collectively be around a lot of really great people through my years and surrounded myself with the right talent and right people to, make a difference. And from thinking about being a firefighter, the reality is you probably in that field, you want to make a difference. You want to be a positive impact on society. You're not going to be in the confrontation is going to be willful. You're going to like walk into it comfortably. And a lot of that we experience in our business. Some of it we don't feel comfortably about the confrontation that we walk into, but at the same time, we get to make an incredible difference on a really tough and emotional journey for certain clients. Because even if you've been in this business a long time, buying a property is emotional, and sometimes, yeah, it's tough. It's tough that you're blind, and a lot of us like control, and you don't have a lot of it. And so you just submit your documents and you hope and you pray for the best, and you hope you have the right people behind the scenes working on it and looking at your documents, and they'll guide you correctly. And that's not always the case. And that's why it's so important to work with the right people and have the right, network and associates working on each file.
Definitely. And then now fast forward to it's January of this year, you leave the bank after 10 years and take over a branch in Tustin, which had a great group of people, and you've added some amazing people since. Like, what's that been like for you, entrepreneur, big bank, now entrepreneurial mortgage bank?
Yeah, I think it took a lot. I think some parts of it is market driven. So I think from 2000 to 2009, 2010, I really think the mortgage banker was the space. You had the most grasp, opportunity, product, you actually had an incredible price, and you walked into every scenario, and you likely weren't just a jack of all trades. You really were masters of individual trades while you still had a large variety of products to solve solutions for clients. And if you used it appropriately, it was the absolute best place to be. The next 10 years, really 9, 10 years, 8 years, I'm not sure where it started blending in the last couple of years, but somewhere 2018-ish, it got really mucky. But until then, it really went to a banker side. Like the banks had the leverage, they had the operating, they had the product coming out of the recession. There was a lot of things that were limited, right? They had cost of funds were they're borrowing at zero. Everybody else is borrowing from a bank and then lending. So even if they're efficient, they're still handicapped. And so things really changed during that dynamic and that period. Now, since then, and which is why I've made the transition, is it seems like, we really, just like in the first time we overshot the landing again. We've over leveraged lowest interest rate, which has always been a race to the bottom. It's been a race to cut margin, cut comp, cut everything. And so where that ends up doing is it ends up cutting opportunity for the client to get really, really great service. It's like, would you go to the doctor that's the lowest paid doctor in your market? Like, would you go to the hospital that's the absolute cheapest? Right. And with, getting something really important taken care of in your life, it's different. Like, oh, I'm going to go do a checkup to, oh, hey, I'm sick, or I have something to get done, or I have a surgery that's needed. Are you out there? And there are people that are out there looking for the absolute cheapest option, but in that race to the bottom, there are pitfalls to that. And it's not looking at, is it going to be done on time? Is it going to be done by the right people? It's purely looking at cost structure. And I think that's the challenge. And I think with, whether it's social media and the fact that everybody has a better layer of communication, and surveys matter and reviews matter, and it's really creating a different environment. And here, the way I like to explain it is, we have incredible technology. Like, for me to say it's good is an understatement, but through that incredible technology, we have the ability to have less people work on a file, but we don't have less people work on a file. We give you that warm white glove touch and that feel and that extra communication and that extra security when you're trying to get through, a purchase, and it makes all the difference in the world. And on refinances and purchases, I know some of them have different dynamics, but at the end of the day, I've been in situations where clients have told me, like, it was never worth it, going down this interest rate. If someone would have just told me this was going to be the path or the way that we have to deliver the product, I would have never done it. And since coming over here, that's never been something I've experienced. It's constantly been, wow, that was an unbelievable timing. That was unbelievable service. And we have an unbelievable rate. So we've been able to solve on all three fronts.
And I'm closing a loan today with your office, and like, being a consumer going through the process is awesome. Talking about it, how it works, one thing, going through the process, completely different. Especially with previous loans, when I was like on an Encompass platform or something else, it was just clunky and you're always sending stuff in. I mean, this is portal, upload, digitized everything. Even the notary came to my house yesterday and he's like, hey, there's only 5 pages from escrow and like 60 pages from a lender. Like, we were done in 15 minutes. And he was like, I wish all of my notary sessions were with Loan Depot loans. Like, the way you guys have digitized stuff and minimized what needs to be signed is just awesome. Something else I wanted to hit on, though, that you talked about too, these last 10 years prior to you coming here, or even with the banks, there's also, I think, a difference between needing a brand to drive your business or being the brand that drives the business. And platforms are better for people in different situations. If you've built a lot of relationships, if people do come to you because you're an expert, you create value, and your phone rings because they call you for advice, you are the brand. Granted, if it's in some markets or affluent, high net worth, clearly, the big banks are always going to be able to capitalize on that differently because they have multiple products they sell. So the relationship pricing's there. But like, I've always felt like people whether you're in a bank or a non-bank, you build a brand. Sometimes you lean on the company brand, but in the end, it's like if you drive the business, platforms like this, leaders like you, scale like we have in the market, they really do amplify somebody's ability to have success and be more, have less risk of the ebbs and flows with a company making a decision, because they're driving the business and it really is their book of business and they've built it.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about allowing like Steve Rennie Mortgage to exist within a company. They're not afraid of an individual having the spotlight and it not about just the company. The company is the vehicle on how the client's getting it done, but they're not the driver, and they understand the driver's important. Like NASCAR, it's not about just the vehicle. It does make a difference, but it also imagines like the driver is important. And we do that here, and we allow that spotlight and focus to go on the loan officer. And we're not afraid of just, oh no, you have to just use the brand. You're not a person. You're just, really dulling down the system and not making it so personalized. And here we have a personal touch. And so for loan officers, what's really nice about that is to have that type of security going into this next tech period, where it's going to be really easy to make loan officers or processor, anybody kind of disappear and go behind the technology, and instead letting them stand out, go on social media, explain their story, explain why they exist, how they deliver for their clients and what makes them different, whether it's as an office, as an individual, as a team, and allowing all those different ways to flow out, because that's how we can service our different builders, our real estate agents, our communities. And, we can give back, and it's hard to give back when you're, behind the shade.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Now let's look into the future. Like, we're wrapping up 2021. It was another transition year, great year for a lot of people. What are kind of some of your plans for Tustin in the future, or where you see like growth and adding to the team, so that anybody watching this that wants to be part of where you're going can kind of understand that and whether or not it works for them?
Yeah, so I think we have a really amazing story in Tustin, in the sense that, we have a strong builder footprint. We got an incredible resale footprint. We got a pretty good refi footprint. We could probably do better in that front, if I'm being honest, but everybody's been so focused on the purchase side. But we're going to finish the year at least with 9 Chairman's Elite, could be 10.
Wow,
and that's out of 17 people. So, we're probably going to just fall shy of $1 billion in fundings. And although those numbers sound sexy and cool, what's really amazing about that is we're going to be going into call it challenging, call it different, exciting, whatever it's going to be. This next market is unknown. We don't know what we're walking into. We have a lot of assumptions. There's a lot of good market data and economics on it. But what I can tell you from listening to a lot of them is nobody knows. Like everybody's guessing a little bit. And so now to partner up with our team, which I'm really excited about, to have 9 Chairman's Elite people to bounce off ideas with and to leverage and figure it out. What I can promise you is they're all going to excel, because they have for the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. They're going to continue to excel regardless of market conditions. And we're going to get to leverage and work off one another. And, iron sharpens iron. And I'm crazy excited about how that's going to differentiate ourselves from everybody else. Because as an office, to speak to numbers for a second, like we got almost an 80% pull through from app to fund as an office. And that comes from their incredible work. Like, that's not common. Typically, you're going to be somewhere around 70 or 65. Some of them are going to be below that, depending on where you work. And, the type of, people that are stacking up your files and getting them prepared for the clients. But on the other side, we also have over 60%, 65% purchase. So as an office, we're pretty insulated from, the refi ebbs and flows. And we're pretty stuck in where, oh, wait, like you're always going to have 20, 30% regardless of market conditions, because people need cash, people need to move, they need to, access the capital for different reasons. And so we're pretty, I don't want to say insulated, because everybody's going to be impacted, but I think it's going to be amazing to see how the networking within the group and how everybody can, share best practices. Everybody's really open. It's like a real team structure. So I'm excited to see how that plays out going into 2022, 2023, as we grow and we continue to grow and scale as a company. We'll probably double in size in the next year, is my assumption. And so with that being the case, that's a lot of opportunity for us to grow and develop a lot of new loan officers, not new to the business necessarily, but new to the team.
Yeah, next level stuff. What kinds of, I mean, I know you've got an eclectic group of people, definitely some builder, some resale, some mix. Like, what kinds of people do you not get along with best, but who do you partner with best? And what kind of attributes do you look for in people to know that you're the right leader and manager for them? Because there's, people that don't need any help. There's people that want a lot of help and accountability and some stuff in the middle. Like, do you have a preference? Because I know you kind of can adapt to anything, but what's your sweet spot?
Such a good question.
Deep thoughts.
If I'm but I would say if I'm being super honest, I want people that are team players. I want people that understand we're solving a bigger need than them, and by everybody else being able to work it out. I want people that are open to share their best practices. Everybody that's so vulnerable and weird and insecure about their business, it's really tough to build a team around them because they're so insecure about their business. They hold everything back, and then it's really tough for everybody else to learn who they really are. So then we can figure out how to better support them in their business and their structure. Like, I want to know what people's business plan is, like, really transparently. So that way I can figure out, like, how can I support them? Like, I can't support everybody the same way. I want to know what people's drivers are, what they want to do. And the same thing goes for everybody else on the team. Like, we're all here to support them. It's pretty much just a loan officer, and everybody else is there to just support their growth and business. And so if we can be a part of that, that works. And so I found that every type of personality really fits into that. So it's not a personality thing. It's not a culture or background piece. It's more of, how open-minded are they to really open up not their book of business, but their mind and their landscape of their business model, and like seeing how we can support it as a company and as individuals and as an office and as a region to really take it to the next level. Nobody should move companies if you're just looking to stay the same. Like, the idea is if you move around, the idea is for growth, opportunity, scale, solutions, and we have a heck of a lot of that,
Definitely. Last, maybe rounding this out, and this has been great. Thank you for sharing this. So for anybody watching this, I mean, obviously Jeff is Jeff. He's easy to get a hold of. He's genuine, authentic, and he creates a lot of value for people by, willfully, like he's saying, digging into like what you want to do with your business and your goals and trying to help you get there. But I love the team thing too. What about Jeff Rose outside of work? Who are you? What, tell us about that. Maybe we'll finish on a little personal stuff.
I mean, I would like to say I'm a surfer, but I don't do it all that much anymore. But it's a big passion of mine. I really love being outside. I love fitness. I love surfing. I think it's really good for my soul. So that way I can be a better person at work. I do surprisingly, I fell out of it for a minute, and then I gotten back into it, like audibles and stuff, like listening to books has been like a big, piece to my life, and it allows and gives me a lot to give back. And then my kids and my family, man. At the end of the day, I got a 9-year-old, an 11 or 8 and a 10-year-old, 8 and 10. Wow. And they're awesome. They bring me so much joy, and I got an amazing wife, a really good person to support at home. And it's my job to provide and support for them. So I have to do amazing things at work. So that way I can make sure and take care of my family. And that only happens if my loan officers are happy and, they're continuing to deliver on their goals. So I end up working more than I do anything else. And I love that. That's why team matters to me, because I'm going to spend more time with this group than I will even with my home family. And for me to take time away from them to provide for them and do that, I want to do it in a comfortable and a good place, a healthy work environment, people, that get to share laughs together. And it's not just a grind, because this business is hard. I can have as many digital solutions as possible. I can hand out loans, and it's still hard. Like, you want to be around the right people.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you for sharing. Awesome working with you. Excited for the next few years and helping you and partnering with you, and appreciate you, man. So yeah. If anybody's watching this and made it all the way through, Jeff Rose, branch manager, Tustin, and he's building the team.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Jeff.